You can automatically create transcripts from Premiere and just export those out. So all of the videos have the content you need. You can just use Premiere to give you an automatic little output. So you will have all that content in text from your videos. So you don't have to do the work twice. You can just start again.
Yes, boots.
Go for it. That's worth it. All right. So basically, I'm on the next step up, which is more like giving you superpowers. So there's a difference in between documenting something, which is the reality itself, and then documenting. I'm not saying about lying, but like elevating it. So we use all kinds of different tools to be able to bring you further, get more impact with less time. So it's all about like the story itself, really distilling it down to the key elements, which are about you in the end. And sort of bringing those up either through different production tools or just through the editing process and actually like fine-tuning it down. So we're the Supernatural Factory. You're in it right now. We're a production company as much as we are like also a rental place for like studios, and we're a community of creatives as well. So let's see. Well, high tech does not, it does work. So boosting your story, tell more and sell more. So the more you tell, the more you sell. It's kind of like an old adage for marketing. But if, you know, once again, we get to the next one. Oh, we get to the next one. The human species thinks in metaphors and learns through stories. Everything that we do, the way we understand our world is through our perception. So if something isn't in your perception, if you're not actually thinking about it, it doesn't exist. And that goes back to if you have the, nope, oh, I'm lost. Okay, well, I'll just do it by words. If you have the most amazing product in the world and nobody knows about it, you basically don't exist. And that often happens. It's not the best product that gets talked about or seen or even sold. It's the ones that know how to sell themselves the best. And that goes really well for artists. It's very often the best artist, which has his work on the walls and is talked about. It's the arrogant person who's ready to talk about themselves and really kind of put themselves forward, which will get more attention. Really good artists don't do that. Really good products spend their time on focusing on the product and not getting the word out there. So, little backwards, storytelling and why I'm a master of propaganda. So I started with animation and with painting, sculpture, drawing, and then after a while I realized that you don't have to animate everything. You can just get an actor to pick it up and move it. But I worked with MTV and a number of other broadcast channels, and MTV came to me and asked me if I knew cool. And I always believed that they knew what cool was, but apparently they needed somebody else to like answer that question. So, you know, I tried running around, understanding what cool is, and after a while realized that cool is really nothing but people actually authentically having fun. So I tried to analyze everything about it, couldn't find something tangible, like what is it? You know, you can't capture, you can't grab it. And just did something in the end, had fun doing it, and then like, oh, that's cool, you know? And that's the reality of it. As a brand has a really tough time being cool because they're trying too hard. Instead of being authentic and really pushing the message out, they pretend they're cool. They hire the most beautiful people to look very fake and, you know, kind of move through. So it never really works out in the end. And then on the other side, so I went from like broadcast and animation into Billboard, The Hollywood Reporter, Adweek, Media Week, and Brand Week, which was all the entertainment side of B2B magazines, Billboard being the one I had the most fun with because I love music. They do everything with music. And they were a B2B magazine, which we transformed into, so I built all the video studios and their series, their networks, everything, all the content. And went from 0 to 500 million. And the most important lesson in all of that was, once again, we had the most amazing content. We sat down with 50 Cent and he told us his like most secret and interesting stories. We sat down with Jack Black and Michel Gondry, and they went on about like the funniest things I've ever heard. And then we put it online, hoping that once you liberate it, it's going to find the people. And we had less than 100 views. So it's basically us watching it, grandma, grandpa, and like, you know, it didn't really work out. So in the end, you can have the most amazing content. If you don't get it to the right people, and it is really bringing it to them, you won't be able to really make the impact you want. And there we really pushed it. So each different piece of content has a specific group. Going back to 50 Cent, there are all the blogs and the experts and the leaders in that field who need more content. They need more things to talk about. And we just gave it to them. They've got the audience. They want the content. They put it up there, and we just started to skyrocket. And we went from 0 to 500 million views in 2 years. Our highest viewed video is, I think, 60 million views. In perspective, for music, American Idol, I believe their highest views are like 8.5 million. That's a very expensive thing. We managed to do that very efficiently and very cheaply by just getting people the content they actually want to see, which goes back to advertising. And advertising is a lot more efficient. I think I'm like 10 slides down now, but advertising is a lot more efficient if you actually don't just go and berate people. And we're used to this, like they hold you captive for 30 seconds and beat you over the head with their product, hoping that you'll buy their product. But you start to get this weird, sensation in between the customer and the product themselves, instead of turning that around and giving them something. So we all have ad blockers, and ad blockers are now becoming sort of like the common key. We have them in our brain as well. The way that we walk through these overly busy worlds and we manage to block out half of the information. Same with any website. You read the content, you manage to block out the outside. You don't even look at it or think about it.
With the content or 60 million?
60 million views was, damn, what's his name? Oh, God. Guy with the hat. I'm not going to be able to like experience. I never listened to pop until I worked with everyone. I hated pop, and I like ended up loving it. It'll get back to me. He was at the Super Bowl. It's the no, Bruno Mars. Thank you. Hats though, Pharrell, you're pretty close. He has class. He was a really interesting one too. That was one of the worst interviews we ever did. Because we actually went the TMZ route instead of like actually like talking about what we talked about, which was the business of music, which was the real story. The reporter we had on that like just completely killed it, and like just she knew nothing about him, read online. The first story was some kind of a TMZ story. Started with that, he crossed his arms, looked at her, and he was like, "I thought you were Billboard," and then put his head down. It was kind of like it. And then a fire truck came through. I pushed her out of the way. We had a laugh and then started again. I was like, we're really just there to advertise you in the end. Like, we're working together. We're just about the industry and pushing it forward. So just tell us, what you want to talk about. What's the newest thing? What's the greatest thing? What are you interested in? So a little bit of science now. Not science. It's absolutely not science, because it's a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's always been said it's not really a mathematical equation. But if you really look at a picture and like break it down, you can write at least 1,000 words. So it's a really efficient way of getting a complex idea conveyed in a single image. And for people to absorb large amounts of data quickly, going back to the quote about the way that we absorb data is the stories and metaphors. It's a way for our brain to understand it, but more than that, to identify to it. If you identify, then you actually make an action. So yeah, pictures can create a movement. A single picture, a single photograph has changed history. They can unite people and they can influence action. So going back to this, more than just the words again. Words are efficient, but an image can actually push through emotions much more efficiently. And then if you go and push that into video, you're playing with a whole number of other elements, being the mix of sound and image, and sound being a very important factor when it comes to emotions. I have a friend who's a composer, and he did The Difference. It was a really, really, really bad horror movie. And I watched it the first time, or like the clips of it, because I couldn't make it through the whole thing. It was terrible. He wrote a soundtrack to it, which was skin crawling, and this terrible movie became amazing. And it really is, like, it's the most powerful emotional side. It's a completely subconscious connection. So sound goes straight through the subconscious. I think eyes are the rational side, the ears are more subconscious, and the nose is completely linked to history and is completely subconscious. So once we get to smell-o-vision, we'll be going a lot further. So going back, 1,000 words is a picture, and if you're doing 30 images per second, then you're at 1.8 million words per minute. Now, I wouldn't really recommend trying to shove that much information into like one video, because people are going to overload, but at least it gives you an idea of what you can do with a very short amount of time. And that's what we try to do, is really break it down. Your audience doesn't have a very long attention span. There are so many other options to go through. So how are you going to get their attention? And how are you going to get their attention in the amount of time and teach them what they need to learn in that amount of time? So nowadays we're talking about like 3 seconds is actually a video. It used to be that 3 minutes was the way to go. Now we're down to 7 to 15 seconds, and you can tell a lot through that. More importantly, if you do that as a series, then you can get people to come back. So you can take one big video and cut it into sections. Each one has an interesting end, which makes them want to know more, and they'll continue to look for it and search. Oh, there we go. Videos, images. So this is, can you press play under the Just to scroll under, there should be the little play button there. Perfect. So it's just an idea of the type of imagery that we work with. Of course, I put all the most exciting stuff in there, and I didn't go and put people sitting and talking. We do that as well. But we use a lot of different tools, and that's why with the Supernatural Factory, it's the superpowers we have, which are the power of flight, the power of slowing down time, the power of accelerating time, the power of convincing someone, and the power of teleportation. If you watch a video about a beautiful place, you will be there for that small amount of time. And that also goes back to the connection of the brain in between seeing something and experiencing something, and the same parts of your brain work. If you unfortunately see someone get really hurt or somebody die, you will die with them for that little fraction of a second. That's how well connected we are with our system. So we have all the toys, all the tools, and it's the stories we need in the end. You know, we can play and like shoot butterflies, or, you know, create amazing content. There's a background track on there as well. So yeah, just a more of a taster and a feel of, like, you know, of the way we work, more than truly maybe being a parent for what you do. But at the same time, it is really about entertainment and education. That's the real power of video. And the more you entertain, the more you educate, the more impact you'll get. So back to the statistics, 100 million videos watched every day. And every person or average user is at 32.2 videos at 16.46 minutes each. We've grown, I think it was 16% growth from 2013 to 2014. We did a 42% growth in video views in 2014. So it is really becoming the center. They're saying by 2018, 80% of content is video. It goes back to, if you don't have video on your site, if you're not expressing your true intentions with a video, you'll probably lose your viewers. There's so much to see, so many things to do. If they don't see it, they'll carry on going. 50% of all traffic on mobile. So just to give you an idea of the impact it really has, it's what people want to see. And it goes back to what Jared was saying about the impact of words versus a video. A video, you know, you start at this time, you go to this time, and you'll get this information in between. They're taking 2 minutes of your time. It can't be that bad. You'll go for it. You see pages of text, you'll start to think about it, probably put it on the back burner and get back to it later. So it really does offer you the maximum impact. And again, you know, what are you going to do with your first 3 seconds? Because your first 3 seconds are nearly the most important moment you can have. Without capturing their attention in the first 3 seconds, you'll lose them, because once again, there are too many options to see. Think. So 64% more likely to buy your product after watching a video. Describe it, explain it, they'll buy it. 80% recall of a video after 30 days, and then 46% of that took action. So that's a pretty impressive figure as well. The actual recall of the information, it stays imprinted in their brain, and mostly because you use words to explain something, you use images to dive them more into it, and you use the sound to keep them, you know, moving forward, the heartbeat behind it. And then, 67% of marketers name video as the best return on investment. And it really goes back into explaining what your product is, and you can give your viewer the experience of your product. So without them having to make the effort of traveling across the country, visiting you, seeing your product, trying it out, and then believing it's worth it, you can do all of that in a video. And it can be a service, it can be a hard product, but you can really give them that experience. And going back to the teleportation side of a beautiful sea landscape and tropical trees, you'll be there for a little moment. If you show your product, you show all the intricacies of your product, during that moment, you'll be able to give people that experience, a full experience of what is it that you have to offer. And of course, at the end, try and like end it with a call to action to make sure that something happens with it afterwards. Namely, buy it. So connect and engage with your customers where they are. That's really the main point of video, but video and distribution as well. You have to go and find people where they are. You have to go and find them. If they're younger, you have to find them on the mobile side, but you also have to find people who will give value to your message as well. So you have like thought leaders, you have people who are already engaged in that community. If you manage to engage them, you'll go a lot further. So that's the side I was looking for. So you're selling the greatest product, but nobody knows. So how are you going to convert consumers? And the immersive experience is the best way to go. Sorry, microphone. The really important keys to that is education and entertainment. And it's a big interest for the moment, with education being the same way it's been for the last 200 years. And then you have video on the side, and kids are learning more online and through video than you can through anything else. I have a friend who said that, you can really learn anything from a YouTube video, and it's true, I mean, we kind of got to that matrix side of things where it's like, download how to fly a helicopter, and you can download the video and it'll tell you the buttons to push and fly. You'll probably crash and die, but it's an extreme example. But at least, like any kind of small problem you're going through in life, there's somebody who's created a video and given you a step-by-step process to run through. So education is the really important one if you're giving education to people. So going back to advertising, has always been about keeping you captive and beating it into you. You'll basically, like, at some point remember them because they were very aggressive. Think about a change on that, and instead of you beating the message into them, why don't you give them something? You give them learning, you give them education, or you give them entertainment. And you actually start with giving somebody a gift. The natural reaction is to be reciprocal. Thank you, I wasn't need. And that's the natural kind of like reaction, is to, like, somebody gave me something, I feel like I should give something back. So you're already, like, one step further. If you change that around, you have them kind of in your favor. And then the really, really important part to all of this is being authentic. Going back to, if you try to be something that you're not, people smell it out really quickly. We've changed our way of seeing things, and the younger generation has changed their way of seeing what is good and what isn't that interesting, what they aspire to be and what isn't. It's changed a lot because of being authentic versus lying. We only had 3 channels before. You could say whatever you want, you were the truth. We only had so many newspapers, you were the truth. Now there are so many options that if people feel that it's a piece of propaganda, they'll move on to something else. So going back to, if it's your message, what is it that makes you unique? Why did you start and create this product? To, like, what was the intention behind there? And normally, it goes back to, if you have a good product, it'll sell. If you have a really bad product, we can make any kind of video, it still come through. We get reviews, you get responses, you get all kinds of, like, return. So being authentic is a really important one about your product, but also about the people behind it. So what we always push with videos, they always want to go with an actor or somebody else who go and represent them. I would prefer not to be here. I hide behind a camera, but at the same time, if it comes from my mouth or it comes from the creator's mouth, it's a very different situation than somebody else in between. They'll never feel it. Video is infectious. If you see somebody laughing, if you see somebody happy, you'll be happy for that little moment. You'll actually be there with them. So if you're lying, everybody knows it. We're fine-tuned for that. I do get lied to often though. But quality video does really stand out, and there are metrics behind the fact that we have so many. What did we go to? It's uploading 600 million hours of video per minute, I believe, online. So we've gotten to a level where everybody has a GoPro, they go and do something silly, they record the whole experience, nobody will ever watch it, but they'll upload it. There's so much crap out there. If you can really put something together which is of quality, you automatically stand out. Going back to those first 3 seconds, you can get their attention with the first 3 seconds just by giving them something to make them want to carry on to the rest. So you've got to give them enough information to carry on to the end, and at the end, a call to action to do something about what they've seen. And then become the voice of authority throughout, what you do. So kind of like what Jared was talking about. If you do teach, if you are the person who gives them the information, and without that direct, I need something back from you in return, then at that point you're just teaching. And if you're teaching, you become the voice of authority. People look up to you to get more information, and your point of view is important. Anybody who teaches online, if it's video, if it's any other product, they end up being the sponsored spokesperson for that brand. It's the best way to work, is to find your strongest advocate and to help them elevate and go further. Don't get actors. So the very simple ones is to be liked. Really important one. It sounds really trivial, but if people don't like what they're seeing, they'll move on. If they like you, they'll let a lot of things pass. If you see people you don't like, you won't let them go through anything. If somebody you like, you'll let them slip through a lot of other issues. Reciprocity, going back to the fact of, like, actually giving, being the first one to give information, give education, give something to start with, give something of true value, and you'll convert people a lot more efficiently. And then authority is about teaching and being the actual authority in that figure. And these are used as much for psychology as marketing. And then, yeah, we're right in the middle. But yeah, quality being a very important one. I think authenticity is really the top of the list in a way, because it really does give you a true value. We are human, and that's what we're looking for in the end, is a real message, is something to believe in. If they can believe in what you're doing, they'll stand behind you for a lot longer. And then purpose and the way you kind of like, you convey that purpose. Going back to engaging and going larger than what you can actually do with just your own video itself, and that's where sponsoring influencers is a very important part. So you have out there, depending on what your product is, you have people who swear by it. You have people who go and live for it. This is something that's existed for a very long time in action sports, where the greatest kid on the beach, the greatest surfer on the beach is the one everybody looks up to. They'll look at his socks, they'll look at his shoes, they'll look at everything. They want to be like them. They'll buy everything he has because then they think they can get to what he can do. If they are the people who are influencing to start with, everybody will look up to them. So instead of trying to find an actor, instead of trying to find somebody to replace that, you can sponsor influencers. Red Bull has been the main one with doing that, where they take the leading body in whatever it is they're interested in and just ask them what they need to go further. And just give them what they need. When they grow, you grow with them, just being the one who brought them there. And by the way, I was there and helped them along the way. That goes back to the billboard and the advertising we did. We had an editorial integrity that we couldn't break. If we did, we had no value anymore. So we had to do sponsored products where it really was the actual content people wanted to see, and it was just brought to you by Starburst, by the American Army, by Audi, but they weren't allowed to change the message. So they were just giving the gift of a production of something people want to see, truly want to see, and they got the massive hits they would have never got by just trying to berate people. And also it goes back to, I'm in the candy aisle, and I love the series of like live music. Mars never did anything for me. I don't know any other candy things. Butterfingers never did anything for me, but like Starburst gave me these, like all this content I really loved seeing and I really liked. So it'll give you a much better chance of being picked out of the aisle. And then the other one is inviting a user-generated response. So you can do a call to response with a video. You start something, you start a movement, and then you call for a response afterwards, which is really just getting people to create more content for you by giving, it's a gamification kind of like idea. So you give them a call to action, they go and like do whatever it is they want. The more fun, the more entertaining it is, the more people kind of jump into it and create something as well. And then you can bring that out as well and do that as a live experience. So it doesn't always have to be on mobile and like a personal experience. We did a lot of projection mapping and live projections. So you can really transform a space through the three-dimensional kind of immersive. You can walk into a space and we can transform that space. That can work for a trade show, that can work for an event, where you can really bring somebody somewhere else and like give them what they hope to see or give them more. And then live as well, like doing any kind of like live systems and like that's a live streaming and any other kind of live broadcast. I would still recommend recording those and leaving them as an archive. They're going back as well to the transcribing all the text, so they can be found by the people who are looking for that. If people don't have connection, the right keywords to your videos, once again, they will never end up finding them. So keywords are crucial. Transcription is a huge one. If you have content-heavy videos, transcribe the whole thing and connect it to it. So every one of those keywords becomes part of your content and can be searched. We'll get there soon enough. I mean, Google is now doing image searches, and you can take a picture and have Google go and find a picture which is relevant to it. We'll get to the same thing with words, and I believe Siri is there or not very far. All right, thank you. Yes.